Now that he is properly hydrated and I've filibustered appropriately, it's time to catch up with our buddy Abe Gordon on a Monday. Abe, this is what happens when the boss invades the office.
Yeah, well, first off, happy birthday. For us, it's August. August is a busy month. I got my dad, me, and I have a twin sister. We're 2 days apart, my dad and me and my sister. And then my mom is the back end of the month. So August is our busy birthday month. But as you're getting ready for Copa America, I'm normally attending training camp for the Falcons throughout that month. So it's tough to find the time.
Yeah, and so, like I said, literally it was like trying to find a midpoint with the boss for the entire thing, and so that's what we've done. But yeah, she invaded this morning and completely and totally inundated me with inflatables and helium, and I don't know how long these things are going to be able to function. But yeah, so this is what I walked down into this morning in the studio space. So
I thought maybe it was just that celebratory of a goal for Christian Pulisic last night that we had to bring it all together. So.
Yeah, the third-minute goal. So it's like, yeah, we have two inflatables here for a third-minute goal this morning. Look, man, I can't even get into the bathroom here down in the office because she has barricaded it all with all these inflatables this morning. All right, so where do you want to start? Do you want to work backwards and go U.S. men's national team and work your way back through the week with Atlanta United? Your call.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so 2 in the first half for Atlanta. Man,
I've been doing that all week, John. I've been telling you, I did that all week on the pregame and postgame, trying to talk about the U.S. men's national team while saying Atlanta United. It's been a mess, so I'm right there with you.
Oh, man. So last night at the stadium that seems to be already the early choice for a lot of matches in the Copa, it was an opportunity in the third. You get another in the 44th from Flair and Balogun. 2 on the board, you win 2-0, but you're still second in the group because of goals scored by El Loco, Marcelo Bielsa, and Uruguay in their 3-1 win.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. It was nice to get the tournament started off that way for the U.S. men's national team. One, just getting on the scoreboard early against a team you should be beating handily anyways is good. To have it be Christian Pulisic a little bit more as he kind of has been the guy that has been kind of anointed as the leader and captain here in many ways. Frustrating first half, and really nice to get the second one before halftime. I do not think you wanted to be in a position, and we've seen it both international play, but even club tournaments as well. I mean, when you look at what's going on with own goals in Euros, and it's just like you don't want to put yourself in a situation where a weird bounce can level things up. And so I thought it was really important to get that second goal. Really nice move from Balogun because I think the defender thought he was going to cut back inside. He actually keeps it outside, and instead of taking it inside on his right foot, he keeps it outside on his left. I think the defender was a little bit surprised at the choice of space he went with, and that gave him just enough of a slow reaction time to get that shot off. But you go in 2-0. Goalkeeper for Bolivia makes a couple of really nice saves in the second half. You win 2-0. Could have been 4 or 5. I'm comfortable. I was talking with some people at a watch party last night.
Yes, you were, sir. Grandpa.
We were having some fun, and it was just at the end of the day, you picked up 3 points, which is really what you're there to do. Is it the most impressive victory we've ever seen? No, but you had to pick up 3 points if you're going to have an opportunity to advance out of this group with a result against Panama, and then we'll see what happens in the final group match and against Uruguay. And just put yourself in a position, honestly, where that match doesn't matter is the best you could do. And you could do that by beating Panama Thursday here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So pretty nice to see. And then we just move forward and hope you can carry a little bit of momentum. I'm not too worried about the scoreline. I thought they played pretty well. They clearly were the better team, and I'll take that.
Now, and what you're hunting for is when you get into a tournament, you don't want to be in fifth gear. You don't want to turn the engine over and then slam it into fifth because that creates issues with your engine. You want to make sure that you want to make sure your gears work. You want to get from first, if you can shift from first to third in an emergency, that's cool. Second to fourth in an emergency when you're trying to escape, that's fine. But you want to make sure that the gears work in the transmission and you want to get better as you go. I don't think you want to hit fifth gear out of the blocks.
Yeah, no, you want to ramp up. And look, you also don't want, and we talk about this as we've watched Euros, you don't want the opening game to be the best one you play, right? I mean, you want to build throughout the tournament. And so I thought you did that. I thought you give yourself a chance to improve from match to match. And then also, you didn't put yourself in too much trouble with yellow cards. And I think we've seen that already in Euros, that 2-game accumulation is going to force people to miss knockout around of 16 games. And so you want to keep yourself careful and safe there. I thought you saw some early subs when you had the 2-0 lead, knowing you're probably going to need to go full bore against Panama and full bore against Uruguay as well. So, Tyler Adams came out at 45 minutes. I don't think you're going to see that necessarily moving forward. So it gave you an opportunity to do some things to where you are building through the tournament. And so hope to bring it home on Thursday night right here in our backyard.
In front of hopefully 11 gazillion people, and turning it into another 70,000 plus for a full USMNT. All right, let's shift to the full week that we've had since last you visited where Atlanta United's concerned. 4 points, 2 matches. Let's take it first. Let's work our way forward. Let's start with DC, and that pitch. I mean, it looked like me at the driving range trying to work my wedges, man. I mean, that was, in addition to all the other things going on, that was just the home of the DC Defenders really was taking chunks out of everything for DC United.
Yeah, for all the complaints about the pitch at Mercedes-Benz Stadium from the Argentinian national team, there's no way it was worse than some of the corners in the field there at Audi Field. And I'll be honest, I lived in DC for 6 years. Every stadium they have there is a dump in terms of the quality of the field. It just did. RFK sucked. Well, FedEx Field sucks.
We had raccoons, man. I
don't know what's going on there in DC, but they don't do a very good job pretty much anywhere. I guess Nationals Park is okay, but how tough is it to get a baseball field going? But yeah, at the end of the day, field quality aside, there were some interesting decisions made by Rob Valentino. I think we have to credit him there. And it's a decision I called for the first time that they faced DC United without Stian Gregerson. And that was for Efrain Morales to come in and deal with Christian Benteke. You didn't have a big body available the first time, and he scored 3 header goals, and you lost that game because of it. Valentino makes the call to bring in Efrain Morales in this one. And I think he did a great job getting Benteke off his game early, and there were very few chances for him late. Cruz makes an outstanding save, diving to his left, somehow gets a paw on it and knocks it away from goal. But with the exception of that, Benteke really didn't have many chances. And I do think it is because Efrain Morales' big body got in the way. Even if he didn't necessarily jump with him, he got a body on him. He moved him around a little bit. And that was something I'd wanted the first time. We got it this time, and certainly it paid dividends. And then you get the strike from Thiago Almada. I actually didn't pay attention. Did it end up winning goal of the match day? If it didn't, it should have. I don't trust voters.
Yeah.
So
that's all ballot stuffing. I mean, you know that.
Yeah. But in a moment where you needed some brilliance, he provided it. And so you pick up 3 good points and obviously that streams itself into this past Saturday night in St. Louis City. That's right. And look, I thought the team played pretty well, if we're going to be honest. They kept with Efrain Morales in the back, which was interesting. I didn't know if that was going to be a little bit more consistency there or if that was a move just to deal with Benteke, and without that physical presence coming at you, St. Louis doesn't have a guy like that. Would they switch it up? But it was nice to see him back. I thought it was nice to see Stian Gregerson play as many minutes as he did. I did not expect did he come on at halftime or
no, it was a later sub than that. I don't think.
Okay.
I will effort that information. But.
Yeah, but he played more minutes than I thought he did. And I didn't, to be honest, I don't know if I expected Jamal Tiare to get a start based on some of the early week comments from Rob Valentino, but he gave you some good minutes as well. Look, you go on the road, you end up down a goal. You do not have Thiago Almada, along with all of the other players that you're missing for various reasons. I think that's an okay result. I really do. I'd feel differently if you'd gone up a goal and lost it to 1-1, but going down a goal and then scratching and clawing, finally getting a penalty kick and then converting after the initial save. And kind of that moment in its own kind of was was a little microcosm of the entire game of scratching and clawing. It didn't work out at first, but then it did. Plus, we were provided with one of the all-time great referee backstabs in MLS history.
You want to talk about, what Steon did come in 45 forever. You want to talk about cutting a promo. This reminded me of the CM Punk promo from this past week. I acknowledge that you're a wannabe and you're a cosplay. It's like you sit there and you're getting the setup, and then all of a sudden he turns right and gives you the rest of it. I'm like, man, that was cold, brother.
Well, the great comedic timing aspect of it was that he just delayed himself long enough for the St. Louis fans to explode before he said, however, earlier in the play. So I was kind of calling that as it was. I was sitting there with Jarrett Smith. He was helping us out on pregame, and as we're watching it live, I'm like, oh, that's not a foul on Moyamba. Okay. And then they end up scoring the goal that was eventually overturned. And I told Jarrett, I said, I honestly don't think that's impeding the goalie from the offsides position. I did not think Goose reacted to the St. Louis player where he was. And I think the deflection itself, but yes, he was standing offsides, but I don't think that Goose reacted to him standing offside. So I didn't think it was going to get overturned from that perspective. And that was confirmed with that wild announcement. But then they do bring it back to the point where I initially said, it looks like a foul on Moyamba. Now, when you're watching it live, you don't know that leads to a goal scoring opportunity, right? It's a foul in the middle of the field, but that was the start of the buildup. So you do have a little bit of luck there, and then you kind of do make your own luck. And look, you're talking about 4 points on the road on this little road trip. You're talking about 5 points in 3 matches under Rob Valentino with some real opportunity here. And I think, and I thought you did lose a little opportunity when you lost Thiago Almada, because I think with Thiago Almada, you probably beat St. Louis and are able to pick up 3 points on the road, but you've got him coming back. It looks like Gregerson may be ready to go from the start whistle. And you've got Toronto FC here in a situation where I think they lost maybe 3-0 on Saturday night, something like that. And you're back at home, an opportunity to finally get another home win. And then you've got the New England Revolution. And I know you got Real Salt Lake kind of creeping up there as well. That one's going to be tough. It's a road game, and that's going to be a nightmare. But if you can start to stack points, I mean, we saw what 3 points in DC did to where you are in the standings. And it's a lot tighter below you than it is above you. You've really got some ground to make up if you want to move anywhere. But I think maybe getting into like 7th or maybe fighting for 6th, possibly over the course of the rest of the season is a discussion. It's going to be tough to get much higher than 7, though. But I think there are some steps you can take, and certainly beating Toronto FC is the first one. We saw you go from 13th to 9th with 1 victory, and it's not, you're not going to jump 4 spots with another, but the avenue is there for you to kind of solidify your place in the playoff standings. And so if you're going to do it, these next 2 games give you a real opportunity, because I just, back to what we said earlier in the season, like, I just feel you're the better team in both these situations. I don't really care that New England went on the road and took out Cincinnati. Look, every once in a while that's going to happen, but you're still better than them. It doesn't change the fact that they're still one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, one of the worst teams in all of MLS. You got to deal with Toronto first, and you go ahead and do that at home. But I think there's real potential. And then if that happens, and I know it would only be 4 or 5 games in, but you have to really start discussing this Rob Valentino thing. And again, nothing against Gonzalo Pineda. The results are what the results are. But if you can get, you got 5 now. If you can get 8, 9, possibly 11 points out of his first 5 matches, you start paying attention to how the rest of the season is going to look a little bit more.
Toronto in their last handful have not been good. They have been refried. Yeah. They have been refried poutine in their last 3. Losing at home to Chicago 4-1. I think that was probably one of the bigger stunners. And then John Herdman said that match not this past Saturday, but 2 Saturdays ago, 9 days ago, was one of the worst matches that he saw any of his players do in the 30 years that he's been coaching. I don't think that's going to work well if you continue to say stuff like that in your press conferences. You might want to keep that stuff behind closed doors, but it didn't get any better after that 4-1 loss. You lose 2-1 at home to Nashville, and then you go on the road to Red Bull, and you were right. They lose 3-0 in that matchup that was a bit of a late start because of the weather in Harrison, New Jersey. And so Toronto's coming in here having lost 3 on the spin, and you don't really know which Toronto team you're going to get, which one's going to show up, the one that is just absolute you-know-what, or the one where they're going to put 4 or 5 on the board. But you got to take care of business, and you're doing it with the younger players, the ones that have come up through the system, the ones that you've grown yourselves, all of these homegrowns, because at the end of matches, you're seeing combinations of Caleb, Ephra, Noah, Luke Brennan, and all of these younger guys that are out there for you, and Jay Fortune. So you're getting the younger guys that you've built for these situations taking care of business for you.
Yeah, a couple of things. Just for Toronto, you can speak to your team through the media, but you can also lose your team through the media. And that might be, I'm not saying it fully is, but that might be what we're witnessing right now. He made a statement with the hopes of having it reach them one way, and they may have taken it another. So we'll see what's going on there. Yeah, look, just specifically to Jay Fortune, I thought he was outstanding coming into the midfield on Saturday night. We knew we didn't have Thiago Almada. You're not asking him to be Thiago Almada. You just want him to be him. And I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought he was dangerous in moments. He obviously rattled the crossbar at one point too. I thought he was very good. When I look at what has happened with these young guys, and it can start with Caleb Wiley. He was kind of the earliest, and maybe a throwback to George Bello as well. But Caleb, and then Noah Cobb, and then kind of falling in line has been Efrain Morales a little bit, and then Luke Brennan. And the thing that you're seeing, and I know we talked about it with Caleb, but now you're seeing the same thing with these other 3 guys. And I think it might be what the academy is doing is the mindset. There is not a single one of these guys that comes up out of the academy or from the twos that doesn't feel like they can play, that doesn't feel like they belong on the field, that's going to back down to an opponent, that is timid. Like, that's just not there. I think that mentality is something special built out of the academy and built out of Atlanta United too. And when they get their opportunity, they grasp it. And it doesn't mean that they may not lose it. I mean, look, I'm guessing that Efrain Morales is not going to get the start this weekend. If Stian Gregerson is coming back, it's probably him, Derek Williams, and Noah Cobb. I don't think there's anything wrong with what Efrain Morales has done. I think that's the numbers game, and we've talked about it. They're trying to find a way to keep Noah Cobb involved, because if you go back to your regular 2 backs, it's going to be Gregerson and it's going to be Williams. I think moving to 3 might be a reason because of trying to keep Cobb involved and not having him take a step back in his professional development, along with some of the advantages it gives you on field. But yeah, I think like the overarching theme is that when you see these guys come into the MLS from the academy, from the twos, they are prepared mentally as much as they are physically. And I don't think every team has a development system like that. Every franchise has a development system like that. From the physical standpoint, sure, these guys have skills all across the MLS, but I think what the mental aspect and preparation for the young guys here is probably better than I've seen across MLS. And I think it's so important for them to come up and have a couple things told to them or acknowledge their way. We're not looking for you to do anything but do what you do on other levels. Just be yourself. And look, you're here for a reason. We know you're good. They know you're good. Show them that you're good. Don't back down and let's get after it. And I mean, there hasn't been a single guy that I've looked at and said, man, I don't know if they belong here right now. I mean, even when you look at some of the U.S. Open Cup guys and who's come up, and I know Edwards popped on a short term, but we've even seen Ashton Gordon. And he was maybe the one at his age that I thought was a little timid his first game. Who was that? Charleston or?
Yeah, that was
whoever it was.
a battery where you completely and totally almost rotated. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was maybe a little timid, but obviously he's kind of a little bit more green to that. But yeah, I mean, the fact that these guys can come in and you don't feel like you're missing a beat is so impressive. And that's about like the first team and welcoming them in and Rob Valentino. But it is so much about Garth Lagerwey, the academy and the twos and the acceptance and the mindset. It's been really impressive to see these guys come in and perform. And like I said, in the case of Efrain Morales against Christian Benteke, like make an obvious, clear, and immediate difference in what's going on the field.
And we're getting ready for Toronto coming up in short order. I see that you are downtown at Colony Square. What is now that you've survived the watch party from yesterday, you've had the early wake up, you're properly hydrating on a day where it might be 11 gazillion degrees by the time we're done. What's going on in the world of Abe Gordon folks need to know about?
Yeah, we're gonna try and find some time to get a run in today. It might have to be a treadmill run. We're gearing up for Peachtree. It's middle of next week. So I got to get one longer run in, maybe 5 or 5.5 this week at some point out in the elements. So we may do that today. I may try and sneak it in tomorrow morning. But yeah, look, we're getting ready just like everyone. We've obviously got the national team coming here on Thursday. I'll be doing a show Thursday night, kind of during the last part of that game and as it wraps up. So we'll have a lot of reaction to the U.S. men's national team. And then obviously, like you said, Saturday, we've got the MLS back in action for Atlanta United with an opportunity to really turn this season around. You're starting to kind of feel it, kind of get over the hump a little bit. But if you could pick up 3 more points, you'll start to be going downhill and rolling pretty quickly. And so looking forward to that.
At Abe Gordon at 929, the game on the 280 character app. As always, my friend, great to have you hanging out with us to kick things off every single Monday on Reaction Mondays, where we talk about stuff. And that's the official term. Thank you, my friend. Be safe. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Once again, happy birthday.